Hey, this is Tom Calvin. Thanks for tuning in to Tomorrow's Legends.
In 2016, a new TV show hit the digital airwaves and needed a podcast dedicated to chronicling its adventures. An elite team has been assembled for this task. Unfortunately, the world's listeners have not heard of this wonder twin duo. And although they may not be known now, in the future they will be referred to as Tomorrow's Legends.
I can't seem to find Flash. Have you seen him?
No, but I heard there was a speedster war going on in Central City.
Oh, no, that's right. I hope he hasn't been trapped by the Godspeeds.
And now, here are your hosts, the Scarlet Speedster himself, the Flash, the Maid of Mischief Harley Quinn, and the Blue Beacon of Hope, X-Force 11.
Hello, Legendaires. Welcome back to Tomorrow's Legends. We are here for Season 6, Episode 9. This is Gus, and I'm doing my best to fill in for Flash Harley Quinn.
And I'm the Blue Beacon of Hope, bringing you hope that we can do this without the Flash for an episode. X-Force 11.
Yes.
Hello, Legends.
And we got Gideon on board, too.
Always add Gideon. So yeah, you heard that right. Flash is MIA tonight. Not really. I think we accidentally double booked him. It's been a crazy weekend. He's been gone on vacation. And so we are flying just the two of us tonight.
Yes, indeed. But first out of the gate,
we interrupt this podcast for a special report.
So we've got a little bit of calendar news. So the good news is we have a new episode of Superman and Lois on Tuesday. And then next week, we've got new episodes of Legend and Superman and Lois. And then we take a week break, the 25th through the 30th week, when there's no episodes on that Sunday or that Tuesday. So it looks like we've got a little bit of a break, and that means that, yes, indeed, it looks like that Superman and Lois will probably have a 2-week break before coming back. And that's not good news for Harley.
It's also not good news for you and the Flash, because not only are we looking at me not being able to finish out either one of our seasons that we've started, you're going to have 3 a week with Stargirl starting.
Yes, indeed. Oh, but that's what I was afraid of. And
me too.
But according to the CW Press site, that's what we're up for. So we'll get through it slowly but surely. We'll make it through with all of your help. So.
Yeah. So just a reminder to everyone to be patient once August hits. We don't know when I will be missing, and we might need to be doing 3 a week. Well, they might be doing 3 a week without me helping at all. So.
That's right. That's right. Well, let's get into talking about this episode, and we'll start out with our ratings. And not really surprising, but for me, it's a 5. Could we keep business school Behrads? This story I don't know. I really wanted more of the Lita and Mick story. The time ripples with Behrad were interesting. We've kind of seen them before, but that story just didn't hold me at all. It's like, I don't know. The writers think that we need a refresher with Mick and Lita, and they have some kind of friction there, and then we get character growth, and we're like, we've already been there. But I just wanted more of their story. But to end the episode, the best part is having Zari 1.0 out of the totem at least some. So that brought it up to a 5 for me.
Yay. It brought it up to a 5. Oh, heavens. Yeah. Okay, yeah. I think you dislike this one a little bit more than me. But I didn't, by any stretch of the imagination, think this was a great show. I gave it a 6.5. Zari 1.0s for the win.
Yes.
And full disclosure, a lot of that rating may truly be Zari 1.0. But I mean, there were a few high points this episode for me. Of course, Zari 1.0 coming back for a few episodes is the biggest highlight for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the Mick and Lita moments. And then I actually did have some laugh out loud scenes with Nate's character.
Mm-hmm.
So I was enjoying what he was doing. But like, as for the mission, I didn't really find it funny. It's like the same humor we haven't liked at all with Behrad. And he was front and center for a good bit of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think though what I did appreciate and was able to find a few high points in about this particular storyline was just the completely like meta approach that they took to it, digging into kind of like the business aspects of entertainment and kind of like what it means to sell out. So I liked that a good bit. And it definitely felt like they were trying to drive home a point with Legends. Although personally, it was never like a really huge, big show. And I don't necessarily think like going back to their roots as a quote, like superhero TV show would be selling out.
No.
But I definitely don't know that I'm on the train of I completely understand this show right now. Because I don't.
No, I don't either. But we'll get into that. But the good news is, even though Flash is pretty busy running around and heading out into space and covering the Bad Batch, he did have time to leave us his rating and feedback. So let's take a listen.
Hey, Legendaires, this is The Flash. Sorry I can't be with everyone today or tonight. You know, it's holidays, it's summertime, so X-Force 11 and Harley are taking this one on without me, but I thought I could squeeze in a quick late viewing and at least send in my rating and review. So this one, when I read that it was going to be a complete Behrad episode, I really wasn't looking forward to it or had really, really low expectations, and it turns out the episode quite lived up to those feelings. So it's bad enough that we're always complaining about Behrad and his pothead ways and how tired we are of it, and then we get a complete dedicated episode all about why he became a pothead and how important it is for a pothead to lead him in his choices in life. And it's all based on a sitcom about potheads. I don't find this stuff funny at all. I don't find drunk people funny and drinking humor funny, and I definitely don't find smoking and pothead humor funny at all. So this one just, yeah. And as for Mick, I think somewhere in our feedback, someone's going to say, I understand why Dominic Purcell left the show, and I'm going to completely quote that as well as something I want to add in. The writing this guy gets, I would have left the show a long time ago myself. This is just ridiculous. Now you've impregnated his head with alien tentacle eggs. Can we get any more ridiculous? Poor Mick. Like, this is all you can come up with for him. I mean, you could have introduced something really great with him getting to play grandpa, and you have to go and completely mess that all up with this tentacle baby storyline. It's just utter ridiculousness and way beyond being wacky and funny anymore. It's just not funny. So in the end, I'm giving this one a simple 4. And the only reason it's getting a 4 is because it's about 4 minutes we got to spend with Zari 1.0, because that is the only part of this episode that I actually enjoyed. I didn't even mind her relationship stuff with Nate. It was happy to see them together again, and just great to see her in her plaid flannel shirt and just being regular Zari. And that's all I cared about in this episode. But it does leave me with one question. If Zari 1.0 can just come out and now be there, what I don't understand is the Behrad that we have. This isn't his Zari. The only Zari he knows is the media mogul one, the one that's all self-important, self-centered. That's the only Zari he knows that he grew up with. So this Zari 1.0 coming out to spend time with him, he's not going to care because he doesn't know this Zari. It's not the one he knows. it's really only for Nick that she's come up. So it acts so emotional. It's wonderful when she can sign her brother. It's not anything. It just it's really a neat for viewers that get Zarya and swing if he's going to around file because Zarya too said, yeah, go hang out with him for a week or so. So I don't know. Maybe they're just answering fan uproar to bring 1.0 back. I have no idea, but I'd love to have her stay. It's just, or she's going to play double roles, I guess, which is fine. But anyway, there you go. A 4, and it's only because of Zarya. So you guys have a good show. I have to say, X-Force and Harley, I'm not really that upset. I'm missing this one. I hope you guys have a good show. Talk to you later.
Oh, me. Yeah, Flash. Yeah, we get it. We feel you there. We feel you there. So overall, I would say as a host, this is kind of how we feel.
I think that's a very accurate assessment. I'm actually shocked he gave it a 4.
Yeah. So anyway, good thoughts. Some good questions too. I don't know. And we'll get into some of my thinking about what they're trying to do, but I don't understand either. So why don't we get into some talking points?
For sure. Yeah. So this, again, was kind of an odd episode, and it wasn't a great one. So we're definitely not doing anything that even closely resembles scene by scene or any sort of recap. We're just going to pull out the points that we kind of wanted to talk about. And we're going to start with Mick and Lita. So the big reveal that we get at the beginning of the episode, which, by the way, we saw in the trailers for this season, is that Lita is pregnant. Now, apparently, this was the wrinkle. She's been trying to get in touch with Mick for over a year. We find out he mysteriously disappears from her life sometime in 2022. Now, the interesting thing about that date is, to me, sort of seems to foreshadow his departure from the show. I mean, because we already know he's not a season regular for season 7, which will likely wrap up in early 2022. So I wonder if they're planting those seeds.
I don't know. That's the way it kind of seems to me. And I enjoy this story. It seems like that they're building up this relationship, reminding us of their dynamic of father and daughter. We have seen 6 seasons of growth of Mick, and adding Lita to his life has been, in my opinion, one of the best story points.
Yes.
And I know Mick is on his way out as a regular, but I just really feel like we should get to see some more of him in the stories and more storylines with him to have that send-off. And that's why this episode was just lacking for me, because I'm like, yes, let's spend more time with him. And we didn't get that, but I can definitely see what you're saying about them closing us out, because we know we start in the fall and we'll probably finish in January sometime with the next season of Legends. So that makes perfect sense that's what time that he kind of makes his way out. But it will be interesting to see the way that they work that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So it just once they said 2022, I was like, that seems awfully coincidental. Indeed. Well, another point that I kind of liked through this whole storyline was just actually getting to see Mick kind of bonding with Lita and her boyfriend. I mean, you touched on that a little bit. And so it's always nice to see the two of them together, Mick and Lita, just because we've come to really enjoy that relationship a lot, and wish we had seen more. And then everything with her boyfriend, I thought was funny because they set it all up of him like going to like kill him, which of course that's what he was trying to do, which is what I assume most fathers would do in that situation. I don't really know, except he actually was technically probably going to follow through with it. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, this was fun. Although I think Nico benefited from some pregnancy hormones Mick was having.
Oh my gosh.
And because I'm thinking, okay, yes, we've seen him acting a little bit different and sleeping and stuff going on. And so we've been getting a little bit of hints, and I've just been chalking it up to like, okay, he really misses Kayla and he's really sad about Kayla. Well, that's part of it, but now we found out that, he's pregnant. And so I think Nico got some benefit there. But I do think Nico and Lita are a good fit for each other. And I think Mick realizes that. He sees the drive and ambition that Nico has, the appreciation that Nico has for him and for Lita. And so I see that he wants what's best for Lita. And Mick is a good dad. He wants to see his kid and now his grandkid have a better life and a better home environment than he did. And I really appreciated that. It was sappy, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that scene around the fountain.
I did too, actually. You're right. It was a little bit sappy, but that is hilarious. I didn't necessarily put two and two together about the quote pregnancy hormones, because of course that was, I guess, the real reveal of this episode, is that we find out Mick got pregnant. But let me tell you, y'all, those pregnancy hormones are real. They give you some crazy mood swings one way or the other. My family's experiencing that at the moment. But anyways, I didn't really envision that when Lita stepped on the Waverider and we found out that she was pregnant, that it was going to pivot into a mirror storyline where Mick gets impregnated by an alien.
Yeah. I think this was the better mirroring of the two that we get. And we'll get to that later. But I knew that this is kind of where that they were going as soon as Gary started talking and asking about tentacles.
Yeah.
And this kind of explains some of the episode titles that we've got coming up.
Yes.
And I was sitting there thinking, okay, these could be about Lita. It's, because we got one about sonograms and we've got one about brood. So I'm like, is Lita having twins? Something like that. Something along those lines. But this just really made it interesting. And it makes me wonder if males in their species carry the children, or if maybe both genders in the species can carry the children, and it's just whoever the dominant one out of the pair is does the impregnating. And I just don't know, but we may get those answers from Gary later on or not, but I just don't know. But it is a definitely interesting twist. So.
It certainly was a twist that I was not expecting, and that I'm sure kind of fell flat with a lot of people. Although that is a really interesting question to ponder, a rather disturbing one, but also a very interesting one. I wonder, that would be kind of funny if we had a few throwaway lines from Gary, just like filling that in. I can kind of see them doing it.
Yeah.
But another thing that might be kind of cool would be that if he does disappear in 2022, hopefully instead of killing him off, he just kind of goes to maybe be with Kayla, because I'm not convinced she's died. So I think we're going to probably see her later. I don't have any spoilers. I just, that's just my feeling. And so I would, since they couldn't give Stein, yes, I am still talking about this 3 seasons later, whatever. Yeah. Still talking about it. That instead of killing him off, they just kind of send him off with Kayla and his new alien family. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. it would probably make Lita bitter. That could I feel like that could cause like more issues there, because like he wasn't, he didn't love her mom and wasn't willing to make it work with her mom, and then that could be like a whole thing. But I still think it would be better than killing him off at the end of season 7.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good idea, and I would prefer that to them killing him off. Yeah. But as far as the Lita being bitter, I'm not sure about that, because I think the fact that she and Mick are pregnant at the same time will help their bonding and understanding.
So awkward.
And I think she will have that understanding there, that if that's the way that they want to take it, that she would understand that he wants to go and be with Kayla and the family. But they can still weave some bitterness in there. But I think this is going to be a good bonding moment that you just traditionally don't get. I mean, you get being, yes, I was a father. Well, he wasn't really a father to her as much as a normal, but this is a total different spin when he's actually carrying kids, and so is she.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, that is very interesting. So we'll just have to see how they play that out, I guess, in the next episode. I'm assuming hopefully they don't. We don't have like that many episodes left that they can just like let it lie. So that'd be kind of funny if they're bonding over being pregnant. Oh man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I would do with that. All right. Well, let's maybe roll into the main storyline. We've got some points here we're going to talk about. It was certainly a very interesting take on what I'm assuming needed to be a very low budget episode for the season, because I'm guessing they just filmed this on their lot in Vancouver.
Yeah, that's what it looks like, because that sitcom set looks just like the one that they used for the Friends kind of ripoff. It looks like the same one that they used for the Mr. Rogers ripoff too. So, hey, we've got a set. It's on a set. We don't have to outlay a bunch of money, and so practical effects and making everything look, like a TV show. I think that worked well. It saved them a bunch of money.
It definitely did. So I just thought that was kind of funny and kind of interesting. So just wanted to bring that point up. Now, this is where it gets a little interesting. Okay, so they made a very big point of saying that the show, that like Behrad's favorite show, I guess I need to be clear here on which shows I'm talking about, had a cult following, and only a few people really, quote, get the show, which in all honesty really is a lot like Legends, although I kind of made the point earlier, I'm not sure how much I'm truly getting it anymore.
Yeah.
And so like it was kind of like telling to me when they showed at the beginning the studio audience, and you see that Behrad is like literally the only one laughing. So it did make me feel like slightly more vindicated that even the writers are portraying that his humor just kind of falls flat on more than just us. But I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very meta.
Yeah.
But true. It to me, it seems like Behrad just based so much of his life and his personality on Imran and paired up with Nate so well, because to me, it looks like they had his buddy, Imran's buddy in the sitcom, pass a striking resemblance to Nate in the face, at least. So it just, I'm like, okay, I see it, but I don't get it. I don't. And he's laughing because he knows all the lines that he's just so thrilled to be there. I imagine that would be me too, if you plot me down in some of the, series that I love, like if you put me, on set for Superman and Lois, or, on Gotham or something like that, I would be the same way.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I understand it. We get it, writers, but I don't know.
I know. It's just such like a weird thing. And I don't think that I have like this point anywhere in the notes. So I feel like I probably should bring it up before it like leaves my mind. But I think like, I mean, I definitely appreciated that part of what they were trying to do is just like bring awareness to just like culture differences in general on TV.
Yeah.
Because they made a really big point at several times of mentioning that, you know, it was an all like Muslim show, like the actors were Muslim and the, you know, creative team. And, you know, so they were trying to make sure that they had that like cultural diversity and kind of like have that representation, which is kind of ultimately what I think Behrad latches onto. But then he kind of takes it like one step further because, you know, he's like a pothead watching a show about smoking pot. And like he really, really identifies like to a fault with that character, which will come back later. But
yeah, and I appreciate that because honestly, I would like to see more honest communication about faith in shows where it makes sense that, like within this show, they are talking about what a win this is and having the representation there. And you can see the mirroring between the two older siblings and the two younger siblings and things like that. But I think the biggest difference is whereas the character in the Bud Stuy program actually had, you know, a secondary career that he really wanted to leave his family business to pursue. We haven't yet seen that with Behrad. I mean, we see his running away with the legends is that, but you know, like I said, I think it's a little off balance, but I'd agree. I think getting to see some voice of the Muslim population and just talking about that gives some insight and gives some representation that I don't really mind at all. Yeah. It's just I don't think they did the best on the mirroring that they could have. Yeah. Like, I mean, so I definitely just wanted to mention it to make sure that like we noted that like that point like for sure wasn't lost, but like when you're kind of looking at it, what the show is or what like the Bud Stuy show was like as a whole, it just didn't like have that like great of a message, I guess, like to me. I'm like, but I think we have a few more points coming up on that later. So we'll just kind of table the discussion for a minute. The other thing that I thought was kind of funny was when we get to take a peek inside the writer's room. Because, and as Behrad knows, you do not want to see how the sausage is made, which kind of made me giggle. And so I had actually wondered, and I didn't look any of this up, if they had featured some of their own writers, because I thought that would be super meta and hilarious to put their own writers on camera. Yeah, the only one that they list in IMDb as of earlier today was the African-American writer who's vocal there at the beginning, and she is an actress. Okay. But they didn't have listed like other writers in the writer's room scene. Like they had some of the PAs and the, you know, other people, but not those. So it's entirely possible that some of those could be the writers. And, you know, they too tend to, with shows, they'll put people in different things. They'll include names and they'll give them cameos and things like that as well. So I wouldn't be surprised either. So we'll see if that's actually the case. But yeah, it's interesting to kind of see them spitballing ideas and looking at things and following some of the writers for Superman and Lois and other shows on Twitter. It kind of gives you some insight where they talk about stuff after the fact. And that's got to be wild to be in there. It's like, okay, we need to pivot. How can we pivot? How can we build this storyline? So I thought that was interesting. And, you know, kind of how they, and the fact that, you know, when they're sitting there talking about the alien and Imran is like, you know, that means a lot of, you know, a full season of backstory and stuff like that. And I'm going, yeah, we've dealt with that in this show.
Dealt with a lot of that in this show. And I think that's why I appreciated those scenes that I don't remember. I guess it was just the one scene, but it just stood out to me like for that reason. And so, especially because, I mean, just like you said, I mean, I don't know if you watch The Office or listen to the Office Ladies podcast, but they break down a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and they have the writers come on and you get to hear like what the process was in the writing room. And so it sheds a whole new light on on shows for sure.
Yeah.
But okay, so this alien, so we're going to have to talk about him just a little bit, but as far as I'm concerned, like really had almost nothing to do with the show, which is why we're not spending very much time on him. It was more of a plot device / monster of the week kind of deal. We just needed to put our team in a situation where they could develop a few of the characters. End of story.
Right. And my thoughts, they should have named the monster Guff instead of Gus, as in MacGuffin, because he was just the MacGuffin of this episode. But honestly, we only had one episode with this alien, and I'll be happy if we only have one episode with this alien. Let's not pull a Bebo here, people.
Oh my gosh. That is exactly what I was thinking. I was like, oh no, please tell me that they're not going to like bring Bebo back into the fold this season, because like this was like the Meta Legends episode and they had this like cute fluffy little alien that everybody loves. I'm like, no more Bebo, please.
You can put him on Bebo's Christmas special, his holiday special, and I'm not going to watch. You go right ahead, but just don't put him in any more episodes.
Forgot about the holiday special. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm not going to be watching that either. Sorry, y'all. There will be no Christmas Bebo podcast.
No.
I am so sorry to disappoint you. I'm just going to tell you that now. Okay, last point about the alien, because we were all trying to figure out what the point of the alien was other than a cute, cuddly Bebo / Alf. I don't even know.
Yeah.
It looked like it to me. This never got explained. It didn't really need to. Like it had some sort of little like sonic power, except the only thing I could think about is Mandrake Root from Harry Potter and how it screams and everybody covers their ears.
Indeed. And you could tell it was affecting Spooner first. I mean, she was reading the thoughts and she was getting a nosebleed before everybody else really started to hurt, and so, it's got to be Sonic, but, very interesting. But yeah, I agree. Mandrake Roots were the first thing that came to my mind too.
Oh man. And speaking of like all of our other characters, I must confess, and I will put this in here now, I have 0 notes on anybody else because they were kind of just set dressing this week. They were just sort of there to further either capturing the alien or facilitating something with Behrad or setting up the whole story. And so I have very few notes on the rest of our cast.
Yeah, the only one that I kind of want to bring up is Ava. I appreciated her kind of being that mediator there and us getting to see a little, of her talking and trying to bridge the peace, but we also get her trying to do a good party for Behrad and trying to wrap presents. And I'm with you, Ava. I've gone to putting presents in bags now because I am so like, I've got to be precise and the wrapping paper. And I hear you, Ava. I hear you.
That's hilarious. My wrapping skills are usually okay, but they are never perfect. My edges never quite get there. And I just gave up caring.
Yeah.
You're lucky if it's wrapped and not in an Amazon box at this point in my life.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's jump back in here to where the episode started to get interesting until I remembered it's kind of a complete retread. But needless to say, it got interesting when Behrad kind of completely started to change after his favorite show changed. Granted, it is the storyline we've seen before. It is the exact storyline that Ray and Nate took in Raiders of the Lost Art.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, we have all watched very recently, if you followed us on our rewatch. So maybe that's why it stuck out in my mind a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I mean, it was cool and it was fun. Like you said, it was fun to see the time ripples and kind of see those play out. And I was hoping it would shed some light on why he is so important to the team. But we kind of really only see why he's so important to Zari at the end of the day.
Yeah, they were mirroring Imran and Kamran and Zari and Behrad in this episode, and trying to give us some shortcuts and insight into Zari and B's sibling dynamic. But honestly, I don't think it worked nearly as well as they thought it would, because I think it just, I don't think there was enough there. I think just, I don't know, it may be a bias against Behrad and a storyline that makes it hard for me to get what they're coming to, but I see it. But yes, I agree. The importance was his importance to both of the Zaris.
Yeah, true.
But we haven't got the team. But I'll get to that in our next point. So
yeah, we can dig into that. But yeah, exactly. It's like I just wanted. I guess I just wanted a little bit more, like, because I still don't understand how he fits into the team, but I did like that they finally connected the dots, that this show kind of inspires Behrad to, I guess, just be himself, which ultimately ends, like, makes him open to, I guess, essentially joining the Legends, going on like his great adventure. Like, I had to kind of think about this after the show and kind of like process a little bit, because at first it was kind of like a little bit hard for me to understand that, aside from just not being a complete jerk, like, why Stoner Behrad was better than Business Behrad. Because I mean, yes, he's like laid back and he's chill and he wants what's good for the environment, and those are all good things, but he has like no drive and like no ambition. And somehow I guess that led him to join the Legends, but that's all well and good for him to have an adventure. But why is he essential to Team Legends? I keep coming back to it.
Yeah. To me, it feels like this season they have tried to show us why Behrad is important to the team and to make us care for him. And my issue is that it seems too forced.
Yeah.
And it takes time away from Mick, who's leaving. But honestly, in this app, they tried to contrast Behrad by making him more like Zari 2.0, and that just didn't work for me. They tried to show some depth with Behrad instead of him just being a stoner, but I'd rather see his worth shown on screen to the Legends and to Zari in a more natural way than just using Zari 2.0's voiceover. We get to hear why he was important to her, but we haven't seen why he's important to the Legends, because to us, he took Zari 1.0's place in the timeline. So we haven't spent that time. And instead of giving us like flashbacks in the season of him maybe on some of those missions and proving his worth and what he brings to the team, it's hard, because we look and we know he's good at doing the dinners. We know he cares about people and he cares about their feelings. So he's kind of the heart of the team in that way.
Yeah.
But these are things that we're inferring from little bits and pieces rather than getting to see something consistently shown. And I don't mind if we get something consistently shown if it's not stealing time away from Mick, because we're more invested in Mick. I don't know. It's just hard. We've got a cast that rotates in and out, and how do you make us appreciate that cast and make us feel that way. And they've done it great with some characters and not great with others. And it's just hard because I don't think they have done that with Behrad. And part of that, I think, is just his personality. And like you said, of him, what is his drive? What is his purpose? He stole the totem to run away with the legends. But like, what is his role there? What ties him in? What's that relationship to the legends? I don't know. I would rather like see it rather than having to infer it and think about it. But I mean,
yeah.
Hey, we're podcasters and that's what we're doing.
I know. So. I mean, like that's what we're supposed to do. I mean, that's, what we do as podcasters. You're right. But I have a really hard time basically, essentially replacing it, aside from certain obvious things like the romance with Nate, Behrad, and putting him in Zari 1.0's place starting in season 3, and just because I don't think he followed that same progression. I think at first we were led to believe that he did, but he doesn't have like the same skill set. He's a complete stoner, so I would be shocked if he could hack his way out of a paper bag, to be perfectly honest, let alone like fix Gideon and like do all of these things that we've literally never seen him do.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I have the harder time with it, is when they set it up for him to be the replacement in season 4 going into season 5. We were expected to believe he had been there all along, so he had taken the adventures that Zari 1.0 had taken, but he can't have played the same role. And I think that's where the missing link is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think she's got that tech skill set. That's her skill set. And he's got to play a different role on the team. So that left a hole there. So who picked up that and did that? I mean, Nate may have. He talked about, cleaning.
That's true.
Putting the new cartridges in and things like that. So I don't know. It's just hard because when you think about Zari 1.0 and how they made us, fall in love with her and see her as a part from being an outsider, and then it kind of falls flat. And that just could be because we've got disappointment because, we have expectation for X and we're getting something that's totally Y, with him. So it's just hard. I think if they had said, like I said, once again, if they had given us some flashbacks to say this is what role he played and how things were a little bit different, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. But I feel like now if we got that, it would just feel out of place.
Yeah, I agree too.
I don't know. I think it has nothing to do really like with the actor or anything. I just don't agree with what they've done with this. The writers have done with this character. It's just not vibing with me. But
yeah, agreed.
All right. So I'm going to close out this section by teasing your favorite scene here. So I've got a few points I'll talk about, and then I'll let you go in depth after we listen to the clip. But we did get to learn more about the totems in this episode, for better or for worse. Martin has also already brought this up. Here's what we learned. The Zaris can apparently be interchangeable without destroying the timeline now that they have 2 totems. Honestly, that makes no sense. And I don't even care that it's a complete plot device because I get my favorite Zari back. And that's how I feel about it. I got no other thoughts. I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, they gave us some hand wavy stuff, like they didn't know which totem that Nate was and Zari were actually. Yeah, they were actually in. I don't know, but I'm with you. I agree. I really don't care. I'm just glad.
Yeah, I'm just sorry, Flash. It's one of those things that I'm just going to completely gloss over, and I kind of have to because there literally is no other explanation. It's a complete plot device. End of story. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about our favorite scenes in chronological order. So you're up first.
Yay. So, to be honest, Jeff picked the only scene that had any substance to it. So I went for the next one that I thought was the funniest. So we're calling this Nosy Nate, and it's Nate's tryout reel for the Nosy Landlord.
What do you mean I'm not a right fit for the role? You don't seem super great at your job.
The writers had a very specific vision in mind, someone who fits the new direction of the show.
Oh, did they?
Hey, G, just signed by the complimentary mints that only take one, so keep this on the DL. Nathaniel Haywood, no need to lie about my height. I am 6'2". Currently living here and there. I travel a lot for work. Is this for the CW?
Well, so much for Plan Z.
Oh, I love that. That was hilarious. When they were talking about who was going to go in for the role, and you say Gary, Gary would have been perfect for it. But no, Zari has to take over it. And they're like, no, that's not who we're looking for. But I did appreciate Nate a whole lot in this episode. And I loved his alien hunter role in there, and I appreciated that. So I really liked him in this episode a lot. So
I did too.
That was a good one to choose.
I did too. Yeah, we didn't talk about him a lot because he kind of was comic relief, but he did bring the episode up for me a little bit.
All right, and so I'm calling this one the Council of Zari. So let's take a listen.
My first time using a cell phone was the day Behrad was born. I was trying to take a selfie, but my annoying baby brother photobombed. Every Eid, he wanted to be in the kitchen. And he wasn't just sneaking Mama's fish in June. He was learning. No wonder he cooks the best team dinners. He's on his own weird and special wavelength. I love him just the way he is. He is priceless. And somehow I forget that someone really amazing gave up everything for him to be here. For me, Behrad's birthday became a reminder of everything he missed out on. It makes me happy to see he's had a chance to really live. Well, we're throwing a party for him right now, and you should really get going before all the cake is gone. I know how you love cake. What about the timeline? Well, I heard that finding loopholes is kind of your thing, so I had a chat with the ancestors. Turns out, 2 air totems have never existed at the same time before. They think if only one of us is out at a time, Behrad should be safe. I say we try it out for a few weeks. What are you waiting for? Behrad's probably looking for someone to take shrooms with as we speak. Oh, you know how to imitate Mama's disapproving death stare, right? Yeah. Good. Thank you.
While I didn't appreciate the forced voiceover to give Behrad depth, I did love the depth it shows between brother and sister there, and the depth in the relationship that they have. And it gave 2.0 more depth in my mind. And I love that we get this conversation between 2.0 and 1.0 because it really shows how much Zari 2.0 has grown and realizes how much 1.0 is sacrificed to save B. I just really appreciate that. I couldn't care less about the plot device, like I said, to get 1.0 out of the totem. I'm just happy she's out. Talia is a great actress, and she has caused 2.0 to grow on me this season, but 1.0 is still one of my favorite legends. And so I'm just really happy that they gave her the opportunity to have the two of them acting together and just give both of those characters more depth.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree. And just like having her act, I guess, opposite of herself in that scene just also shows, I mean, it shows that what a great actress she is because of how different those characters are, like down to the voicing of it. I mean, not only the mannerisms, which are, pretty apparent, the look very obvious, but even just like you forget until she speaks immediately after hearing Zari 2.0, the difference that she causes her to her voice.
Yeah, I'm rewatching Orphan Black right now, and I'm like just starting season 3, a couple episodes in, and Tatiana did that with all of those characters. And in season 3, we get a guy clone there's multiple, and some actors can do that well, play multiple versions, and some just can't. And Talia does a good job, and I'm glad that she's getting stretched and growing and getting to have fun playing two different legends. So
yeah, she does. She certainly does a great job. All right, well that brings us to the end of our favorite scenes, but before we roll into feedback, we have a little reminder for you all. If you are enjoying the podcast, we would love it if you would join our group of Patreon supporters. We are a little overdue on our monthly call, and we are trying to sort that out, but if you would like to contribute and join in the fun, here's how you do it.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
That's right. And guess what, y'all? It's time for some feedback.
It's feedback. Your time to speak up. Believe it or not, what you think and you say means a lot to us. But why should we sit here and wait if you won't hurry up? So feedback or simply shut up.
Oh, man. Such fun, Jules. So starting us off, we've got an email from Daryl. So Daryl says, I don't blame Dominic for leaving. He needs a show with better writing for his characters. All the family drama was very uninteresting. I wanted to see good Father Mick from the start, not 47 minutes into the episode.
Seriously.
It was like they don't think we remember his journey last season, and we do. They will really use any excuse not to have both Zaris out at the same time. They're obviously still trying to push Behrad and Astra, but only want to put in a minimal effort. Yeah, we didn't talk about that, but there was definitely some attraction there between Astra, especially in business Behrad.
Yes, until he turned into like a total jerk. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for your thoughts, Daryl. Thanks for your thoughts.
Good stuff as always.
Yep. And next up, we've got a voicemail from Dreamweaver.
Hello, Legendaires. Dreamweaver here with feedback for the latest episode of Legends. This is Gus. And to be honest, I don't even know how to rate these anymore. I hate being negative on these, but there's been so many low bar episodes this season. It's like the writers want to write some other show, but they're all still stuck in the Legends writers room and just have to use these characters. They used to handle different genres and out their ideas a lot better than this. I mean, this is like supposed to be Behrad's version of the George Lucas episode and how a show affected his life trajectory, but this is not well done. So to try to keep my thoughts brief and on track and not too disparaging, I'm keeping them to a bullet point list and stray observations. Behrad's only supposed to be 25? No, I'm 25. He definitely seems older. The phrase, fix it in post, is the bane of every filmmaker's existence, especially editors and VFX artists. The only Gus I know is the one mouse from Cinderella. You must really love being a PA. Having Mick and Lita fighting right off the bat, and Mick being absent father when Lita knows for a fact he's a time traveler seems rather reductive. This whole episode felt reductive. Aliens are an afterthought in the season that was supposed to be about aliens. Nate popping his collar and calling himself Nick Hunter and having a laser gun prop. Nice one. Gideon having a programmed stock laugh track was the only time I laughed this episode. Also, I guess Gideon acting weird the first few episodes of the season amounted to nothing. The 2 whole minutes of Zari 1.0 was the best part of this episode. Just bring her back already. I would have much rather continued exploring the dystopian future she was from than this fixed timeline. Behrad's origin story, or anything to do with that, should have happened last season. Everyone's storyline feels non-existent or wasted right now. Is this really the storyline they're going to end Mick's character on? At least Lita is back. Okay, that's all I can really remember about this episode, because...
Frankly, I'm underwhelmed.
So that's all for now. Until next time, your friend Dreamweaver.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Dreamweaver. Yes, I totally agree with you on so much of those points. Oh,
yeah,
my goodness.
I think we echoed a lot of your points. And sadly, I'm embarrassed to admit I didn't quite get the Hunter reference with the popped collar until you literally just mentioned it. I just thought it was funny, and he was doing a bit. I just missed the bit he was doing. So,
yes. All right. Closing us out, we've got Perry White.
Hello, Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11. It's your friendly, intrepid reporter friend, Perry White, here for feedback for Legends of Tomorrow's the episode was titled, This is Gus. I don't know that I have a rating for this episode. I don't know if we are allowed to go into negative numbers, so I don't know if I can even give this episode a rating. Let me first start off with what I obviously liked about the episode. Episode runtime was probably, 42 minutes or whatever. And the best part of the episode can be encapsulated in about 2 minutes. Obviously, that was the end, the 2 minutes that we got with OG Zari. Basically, if they had not aired the episode and just used those last few minutes as sort of a promo teaser for the remainder of the season, I think they could have saved themselves a lot of money and saved us a lot of time. But that was obviously the best part of the episode. There were so many issues that I've had with it. I don't even know if I want to waste time talking about what I did not appreciate and about the episode and how it felt flat. I suspect and hope that you guys will be more professional than I and speak to those points. But I mean, if you're going to center an episode around essentially a time ripple, by that I mean, obviously, I think we've seen it before, but basically where something happens and one of our heroes is impacted by something that happened during his formative years that didn't take place, and it fundamentally changed him. Obviously, we saw that with great respect when it happened with Ray and Nate with the I guess it was the Lucas episode, Star Wars stuff. Obviously done much better. Fantastic. It was obviously characters that we cared about. And it was about a comic property that we are all familiar with. This episode was about Behrad, who is a character that not a great many folks are fond of. And I don't want to get into that whole argument, but the biggest problem is he's a character that we do not know a great deal about, other than basically he's Zari's sister, right? So having him be fundamentally changed doesn't resonate as much as it does with characters that we know about and, quite frankly, care about. So to try to change his character, I think that was a misstep. I think that was a mistake. It just wasn't something that narratively hit well. And obviously the bulk of the episode was around that story, and that's why this episode fell so flat. I don't even know that I want to get started on that alien Gus character who looked like the love child of, say, Bebo and Baby Yoda and Alf. This episode was just a tonal mess. It was a narrative mess. It was almost like the writers were in the writer's room, basically playing, I forget the name of it, but it's that word game where you sort of just start, where they sort of build a narrative around words that you sort of fill in sort of randomly, and then at the end it's supposed to be kind of funny because of the words you put in and how it fits into the narrative. I'm pretty sure that someone knows exactly what that's called. I'm having a brain fart right now, but it seems like that's how they wrote this episode. Yeah, like I said, the best thing about it was obviously getting to see Zari again with the Legends. I think it was essentially a full admission by the writers that they made a mistake by canning her character and sticking her in the totem and replacing her with Zari 2.0. There are certainly some things about Zari 2.0 that have come to grow on me, but she obviously could never replace that character, and it just seems like the writers did that for shock value, and then after it was done, they were sort of stuck with how can we best make this work, and I don't know that they ever did, and we're sort of stuck with this sort of thing where we're in the middle, where we sort of have both of them, but we kind of sort of really don't. I'm just hella frustrated with this episode. If I didn't feel compelled's not the right word, but if I didn't enjoy this community that we have talking about our shows, whether we love aspects of them or whether we hate them, if we didn't have this community to talk about it, I'll be honest with you, I probably would have shut the episode off about halfway through and just sort of read about what happened. No. But I stuck through it, and it's probably a good thing that I did, because obviously, like I said, the ending was the most important part of the episode. I guess I am interested to hear what other folks have to say about it. Maybe there were some things that other people appreciated that maybe upon reflection I might be able to appreciate as well. But I think, like the GIF that I posted in the Facebook page, I was distinctly underwhelmed by this episode, and there needs to be significant course correction in the next episode, or it's going to be a slow tumbling slog to the end. It's a disappointed and dejected Perry White signing out. I'll talk to you guys next week.
Yeah, I hear you. The game that I think about is Mad Libs, where you're filling in words and you're trying to be like ridiculous with the words that you choose, and that's how you look at it. That's kind of what I think about when I, maybe, I'm sure there's other games, but that's the one I was thinking about. Okay, we're doing a Mad Libs. Let's Alien and,
Quick, throw out a place. Quick, throw out an occupation.
Yes, indeed.
Throw out an adjective.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I hear you, Perry, and I agree with you. The community is what helps us get through and encourage each other as we're watching and questioning things. So we appreciate having everybody leave their feedback and sharing either in the threads or on Twitter and things like that. So we really do appreciate it. So thanks, Perry.
Yes. The community, I think at this point is keeping a lot of us going for sure. So thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah. Well, that closes us out for this week, and we do have a new episode on Sunday of Legends, and like I said, we're back with Superman and Lois for 2 weeks. So we look forward to really talking about those 2 episodes, because this one coming up looks really good, and it's got David Ramsey in it. So I'm looking forward.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. I enjoyed David's appearance on The Flash very much. So I'm looking forward finally, after I got what I wanted, to seeing where his story continues. So
yes. So it looks like it's going to be a good one, and we finally got some images from there that don't reveal a whole lot, but I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to talking with everybody about it, and we'll have Flash back to talk with us on that episode, so looking forward to it. So close it out and say this is X-Force 11, so say well.
And I'm Harley Quinn, and I'm out.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network.